And I've learned surrender is truly surrender.
Yeah.
It is truly.
It's not manipulation.
It's not manipulation. It's not just talk. It's like you set the intention and it shows up as it should. And if it doesn't show up, you don't force it. You don't force it. And I think that's the big thing that people might not understand, because I know ways of working that I can get where I need to be really fast if I use my mind. But being surrendered, it's not just getting to a certain place or reaching a certain amount of people or making a certain amount of money. It's being in alignment with the divine purpose of my life. And when you're in that space,
it's not achievement based.
It's not, right? And you can't lean into what you know can get you there in your mind. You have to lean into your soul. And when you lean into your soul, you trust divine timing off of happening right now.
Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome to Take Back Your Mind. I am your host, Michael B. Beckwith, the founder of the Agape International Spiritual Center. And just about every week, I get to have a wonderful conversation with individuals that I love and appreciate, individuals who, in their own way, in their own uniqueness, have taken back their mind, have aligned themselves with their purpose, aligned themselves with their unique way that they have to be in the world in order to deliver their goods. And today I get to be with Koya Webb. This is her right here. She's here in person. I like it.
Yes.
And you may know who Koya Webb is, but if you don't know who she is, I'm going to give you a little bit of her biographical background. Global lifestyle entrepreneur specializing in holistic well-being for such a time as this. Known as a transformational specialist, she encourages sustainable lifestyle changes that maximize your ability to cultivate self-love, reverse life-threatening conditions, and experience optimal health through her lifestyle design method. Koya's Get Loved Up yoga school and community of teachers inspires millions worldwide to practice more self-care, social justice, and sustainable living. She's a highly regarded expert and editorial contributor with media outlets nationwide. Koya has appeared on NBC, CBS, The Steve Harvey Show, Entertainment, and Home and Family, and has worked with a roster of celebrity clients. Recently, she was with us on our wonderful masterclass, The Frequency Factor, and we've hung out for a lot of things together. With over 20 years of experience in personal and professional development, her mission is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals and organizations globally to achieve optimal health, well-being, and sustainability through holistic practices and practical lifestyle changes. Listen, put that down for a minute. I know the woman. Years. She'll give you maybe a little background on that. But she's dedicated to her spiritual practice. She's authentic. She speaks about not only the highs and the glory of what happens when you become activated and you begin to embody these teachings, but she also speaks about her challenges, the darkness, the grief, things that people grow through. She doesn't hide any of that. And so it is my joy to welcome you to Take Back Your Mind.
Thank you. You just made me cry. I'm so tender. Oh, thank you. I love you so much.
I love you.
This is my spiritual father, y'all. I affectionately call him for so many years now, but it's just been such a blessing, you know? Yeah. Just the day that I walked into Agape was like taking my mind back.
Yes.
You know, hearing your words and Ricky Beebe's music and the blend and the whole community.
Yes.
You just took this broken, traumatized girl and helped nurture her to be this empowered woman. And I'm just so grateful.
Right. Because most people, when they see you, don't even know about all of that.
No.
The background and where you came from and the things you experienced. They see this tall African Amazonian woman, athlete, yoga expert, cook.
Yes.
and much more. And recently married.
Recently married.
You know,
he put a ring on it.
He put a ring on it. Had to put the ring on it.
Had to.
And so they didn't see all of that. So, you know, take us through a little bit of your background and coming into your evolution spiritually as well.
I feel like most people, I grew up in a very fear-based environment, and I was very afraid to live. I was afraid to be myself. I always felt like I was doing something wrong. I felt very misunderstood. And I feel like no matter what I did, it was never good enough. So I felt like I didn't fit in. I mean, I'm 5'10", I got big feet, I'm brown, you know.
Unfortunately, you have little feet for 5'10". That would have been weird.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, right.
But I didn't feel like, I feel like everything was like too much or too big or too tall or too black or too skinny or too and I always felt like I was trying to morph myself into something that I wasn't. And it took many, many, many years of like trauma and just not really understanding why until I found myself. Yeah. And when I entered Agape, I remember I felt this like I was coming home to myself. And when you spoke your words, it was the first time in my life I felt it in my soul. Other than when I got baptized, I remember when I felt the Holy Spirit for the first time. And I felt it and I knew it and I felt it in every cell of my body. And that's what I felt when I walked into Agape. That's what I felt when I started yoga. So I knew when I walked in that a transformation was about to happen. I had no idea, like, wow, it would change my entire life and this would be my life's work. So I'm like, forever.
You found your life's work.
I found my life's work.
So that being that was traumatized, you know, what would you tell her now? What would this person tell her?
I would tell her, you're going to be okay, girl. Like, it's going to all come around and everything is going to make sense soon. And that, you know, you are not your trauma. You're not your challenges. You're not your mistakes. You're a beautiful whole being. I would tell her everything you've spoken to me. Like, you are a high vibrational being meant for goodness in the world. I listened to those words. I believe those words, everything you said again and again. I did the transcendental meditations. I took the Course of Miracles. I mean, I, did, what was it? Mind, Fast, Soul, Feast.
Yes.
I did all the programs and they just nurtured me and poured into me. And so they really crowded out all of the fear-based thinking. And so in nutrition, I went to IAN and we talk about crowding out. It doesn't have to always just replace everything with all the toxic stuff with all the healthy stuff. Right. If you start eating healthy, eventually you eat less and less of the toxic things, you become healthier. Right. Well, the same thing works spiritually for me. It's like I still had all these fears and these negative beliefs from my childhood, but the more that I came to Agape and read the books and did the classes, it started crowding out. And my frequency started to raise and I started to realize I'm started to attract people and opportunities that align with this greater evolution of myself. And the work works if you work it. And it started working for me. And the more it started working, the more I dove in deeper and deeper. And I continue to be a student of the work, to be a student of love.
I remember your light because I remember seeing you. And I remember inviting you to do something at the Revelation Conference.
You did. And you inviting me to speak was like, what? The Rev invited me to speak. Oh my goodness. The world stopped. And it was amazing.
Yeah, I could see all of that. And so I know recently your mom has made her transition, passed over into the land of the ancestors, life after life. I know you're feeling a little tender about that still. Yeah, but you had to use all of your work, your inner work to navigate through that because you guys were close.
Yeah. My mom was my biggest cheerleader, and it was unexpected. Her mother is still alive, my grandmother. She's 90 years old. So I didn't expect for my mom to transition. And so it's still very shocking for me. It's still not real, and so the anger that I had inside and the confusion, it was overcoming me. It was dimming my light because at first I was so high when I went to her and I was there for a week in the hospital dealing with, how the hospital can treat you. And then at home and dealing with all of the family dynamics and just holding it all. And then when she transitioned, I broke. broke. I just broke. And I felt so angry and so dark. And I remember grabbing a mason jar and squeezing it so tight and slamming it into the counter. And all this glass just shot into my hands. And my hands were dripping blood. And I realized, like, oh my goodness, I'm self-harming. And I wasn't doing it intentionally. And so I put my hands in the Epsom salt bath I had made for myself, because here I was trying to stack my ritual, trying to balance out. Yeah. But the grief and the anger and the confusion that I had been holding on for those 2 weeks, holding space for my mom and my family and all the things, it overcame me. Right. And my mind was swirling with a million dark thoughts that I felt in that moment I had no control over. And so as I put my hands into the bath, I just prayed. I was like, God, help me. And my husband, Darren, went and, he was like, do you want to go to the hospital? I was like, no. He was like, okay, I'm going to get some bandages. And as he bandaged my hands, I was like, I need help. And I just went to sleep and I prayed. And that's when my mom came to me as a first time as an ancestor. And she said, it's okay, Koya, I'm here. You are my strength. You are my legacy. And she just spoke life into me. And I feel like she's giving me every gift. Like I have stronger intuition. I'm seeing things I've never saw before. I'm like kind of overwhelmed by it. And like even now, like I'm shaking, I'm vibrating at a frequency I've never felt before. And I'm just praying.
She gave you the gift.
She gave me a lot of gifts. And I just want to hold it all and make her proud.
Yeah, that's what happens when they pass over. They go through their life review, and they're celebrated by so many people on the side, but that's when you receive your gifts from them. So when you prayed at that moment, did you reach a certain frequency in your prayer? Because oftentimes they cannot connect with you at the level of fear, or they connect with you at a level when you finally like accept it. You know what I mean? Is that what happened in your prayer?
I felt like in that moment, if I can go back to that moment and describe my frequency, it was a frequency of surrender. Yeah. Okay. I had just because usually when I go into the bath, I just surrender and I let all the day like melt into the bath. And so as I put my hand, and the toe was feeling with blood, like so much, I like never seen this much come from my body. I'm like, these hands. And so I just surrendered into the water, and I surrendered. And then in that surrender, I felt everything release. Like I felt like I was releasing the frustration and the anger into the water.
And that's when she can meet you. Yeah. Yeah. When you surrendered and released, that's when she can meet you. She couldn't meet you at the other places because she's not vibrating there. No. So as soon as you went to that moment of surrender, she was able to. Do you still feel connected? She's still contacting you?
100%. 100%. And I still cry every day, but I'm moving forward strongly every day in my gifts and my mission and my legacy, because I'm sure that dark energy that sometimes can come back up in different ways might want, if I nurture it, it will overcome the light. Right. But I already know from your teachings that I have to nurture the strength, the truth, my legacy, and my mission, not my fears, my frustration, my missing of my mom and her physical presence, because that makes me vibrate at a lower frequency. And so a lot of people ask, how do you, really take that grief and, find the gratitude and find a way to move forward? I'm like, the way to do it is one day at a time, one breath at a time, and choosing. Every breath is a choice to choose love, to choose peace, to choose I got this. And I just choose every day. Every day I choose love.
One breath at a time. This is powerful. I love this. I knew I wanted to get into this with you because you're so transparent in whatever process you're going through, but you're also a practitioner. You actually practice this stuff. So it's not just book learning or academic knowledge. You actually are a practitioner. And so it shows up in every area of your life. Your prayer life, your nutrition, as well, and so, let's pivot just a little bit into in your nutritional aspect of life,
Yes, people always ask me, and I think we were asked on that masterclass, if you had 30 seconds to share with people what they could do, what would it be? And the thing that I said was breath work, number one, because I believe breath is spirit, and that inhale and exhale is balancing and aligning you with spirit. I truly believe that. And then stacking your rituals.
Yeah, I love that that statement. You
Thank
used
you.
it before, stacking your rituals.
Stacking your rituals. It really works for me.
Yeah.
And I've been sharing about it for the last 2 years because what I realize is that I'm a servant leader. I love to serve. You see, I'm serving in the church. I'm making the food. I'm on stage. Wherever you want me to be, I will be there.
Right.
But I didn't realize that I have to love myself and practice self-care and self-love as much as I serve. And it's not like serve 80% and self-care 20%. It's serve 50% and self-care 50%. And I realized, it took me a long time to realize I needed that type of balance because I love doing a lot of deep work for many, many people.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, I got a massage. I took a day off. Oh, no.
Yeah.
You need good food. You need the green juices. You need the herbs. You need the ashwagandha. You need the massages. You need the runs every day. You need the sun. You need time in nature. So all these things are pouring in because you have so much that you're, even traveling, that you experiences that's not high vibrational.
Yes.
And so I need a lot of other things that are high vibrational. And to your point, the nutrition, cutting out toxic food, cutting out animal products helps me vibrate at a higher frequency. Eating foods that are fast transit foods like fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And I don't mean just vegan foods.
Yeah,
I mean whole plant-based foods.
Right.
And they give me energy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd just be drained and tired and somewhere asleep.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, when you talk about stacking, that's what I do.
Yes.
I mean, I love my bath with all the different salts. I love all my green drinks. I love all my green smoothies. I love all my fruits.
Yeah.
I love waking up in the morning and opening myself up with the breath work and being so grateful and thankful that I'm alive. And I ask for strength to handle any assignment that comes into my day, because most of the stuff that you handle is not necessarily on the to-do list for the day.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff that comes in that you have to deal with. So I ask for the nimbleness and the energy to handle all of that. But what you're describing is a way of living. It's not just a temporary lifestyle. Right. We're not offering that to people. We're offering, this is how you live your life. And then joy becomes your base.
Yes.
Doesn't mean sadness is not going to pass through. Doesn't mean challenges are not going to happen. But you have a baseline of joy, which is what people feel in you.
Yes.
They feel this energy. Whoa, Koya's on the stage.
And I love that because I get that from you, and I think it's so important, and I'm always going to give you your flowers, and not only you, but also Ricky BB and Akili and Reverend Arlene and the spiritual family that nurtured me, because I think people feel like they could do it themselves. There's so many of my students like, I did this and I did that. And it's like, but and I know I'm a mentor, but where are your other mentors? You have to have a team and a tribe of mentors pouring into you and realize that we're not meant to do it alone.
Right.
And I think it's so important to have people that you listen to, the books that you read, and constantly pouring the positivity, because when you turn on the news, when you turn on social media, what are you getting? A lot of the negative stuff, a lot of the fear, the competition, the comparison. So you have to have people like yourself always listening and nurturing. I remember when Darn and I started our spiritual walk together, and we were listening to different teachers, and I put you on for the first time. He's like, I like him. I was like, that's exactly how I felt. He's my favorite. Let's listen to more of him. And I just felt so good because I knew that you were going to speak to his soul. And I feel like you have to find a teacher that really resonates with your soul, or you can get lost in the rubble.
Right. In my 20s, most of my teachers were on the other side, and I had relationships with them. They were alive to me because I would leave my body and have conversations. And it's interesting now, a lot of my teachers are on the other side, and friends, because they passed over. Carlton Pearson has passed over, Nirvana Gale has passed over, Carl Anderson has passed over, Barbara Fields has passed over. These are all my friends. Barbara King has passed over. You know what I mean? They've all passed. So I have a different relationship with them. I have a group of people that when I'm about to speak or about to do something challenging, I just call them in. Blanche Nelson, Ethel Franklin, Nirvana Gale. I call them in. This is Sprinkles. I call them in, and they're sitting in a circle. Because years ago, we would meet every Saturday at 5 a.m. and meditate. This one little circle I had together, and we developed telepathy. And so they're all gone now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I'll still call them in. I can still feel. One time they came through, and I asked them. I asked Dr. Dan Morgan, who was the founder of a guidance church, religious science, you know, I asked him something about to hold me in prayer for something. And he says, him and Homer Johnson, another teacher of mine that's passed over, he said, we don't need to do that anymore. I said, what do you mean? They said, you're doing it. You're good.
Yeah.
You're good, man. You're good. I said, no, I still want your prayer.
Right. I really resonate because I never felt it so strongly until my mom's transition.
Yes, my
and
mother
I'm
too.
like,
Absolutely.
I'm like, oh my goodness, I get a deeper relationship. So I actually do feel like I have an even deeper relationship with my mom. And I don't know if you knew the background about my story with my mom, but we weren't as close growing up.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing these mother-daughter retreats and these women with good relationships, mother-daughter relationships. And I was like, I want that. You know, and I think it's so important for us to allow ourselves to be inspired, not jealous or envious, but inspired.
Absolutely.
I believe inspired means in spirit. And when you're inspired, it aligns you with spirit.
Right.
So in that moment that I was inspired, I was aligned with spirit. And I said, I'm going to, you know, develop a closer relationship with my mom. So for the last 12 years, once a year, we go on a trip. We've been to Thailand together, to Mexico together, beautiful resorts in Cabo. And I just love that I got that opportunity with my mother, but it's only because I set the intention.
You set the intention.
And then when I told my mom, she's like, I would love that as well. And I knew she wanted to travel, right? And so we met each other. And so I'm so happy. She even got yoga certified in Thailand with me. And everybody was younger than her. And she didn't care.
You had closure before she left.
Oh,
even though it was a shock to you.
It was.
And moved you off center. You still had that heart closure. You didn't have a lot to forgive, you know.
I don't know if it was before, but definitely after.
Yeah.
Before, I didn't feel like I had closure. I feel like, you know, an open wound.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I felt like
because
wounded.
she left.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
And I didn't think she was going to leave.
Yeah, but I'm talking about your relationship was good.
Yes, our relationship
that's what I mean.
was
That
really
closure
healthy.
happened.
Yeah, our relationship was really healthy. And I feel like, you know, even she taught me in her transition, she taught me how to surrender without giving up.
I love that. Surrender without giving up. Listen, break that down.
Yes. And she taught me that even though she was surrendering and she was transitioning her body, she didn't give up on me or our relationship or anything. Her legacy lives through me. And I think it's so important to me because I can surrender relationships now. I can surrender things that don't align. I'm not giving up on my mission and I'm not giving up on people. I'm just willing to surrender anything that's out of alignment with my highest and greatest good.
To let go of that which doesn't serve and that which isn't vibrating at the level you want to vibrate
Exactly.
at.
And trust the flow of life.
Right.
And she taught me that surrender and you can trust the flow of life. And I'm just holding on to that. Like I have her ring around my necklace and I hold her really close to me because every day she's teaching me. And I never, again, this is the closest person that's ever transitioned and I never knew what to experience, what to expect. And it's just miraculous, the relationship you can have with someone after they transition.
Yeah. I have great relationships with those who have gone over.
Yeah.
They're in my early days, they were more important than the people that I could see. And now, 40-something years later, so many people have gone over. They're my buddies.
Yeah.
But I still have people here, obviously. I have a whole community of practitioners and et cetera and friends. But I think people need to hear that they can have a beautiful relationship with the unseen and the invisibles, as we call them.
Absolutely.
Because they're still here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And they're a little bit more purified.
Yes.
Because they've cleaned up some things. And they're more
because
themselves.
Their humanness is not here.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized. It's like in our humanness, we go through this trauma and all these things. But when someone transitions, it's pure spirit.
Yeah.
So you're getting the pure essence of all they were.
Yeah.
They're not even attached. Like I ask questions about, some things that happen in the human. And my mom is just like, that was just part of it.
Right.
That was part of the journey.
Right.
But you don't have to be attached to that either. You can surrender that too.
Right.
Surrender your anger with yourself or anyone else with your family. And then she just taught me how you want to surrender all of that human stuff that you vibrate, makes you vibrate at a lower level and just fall into love and stay in the vibration of love. Yeah.
And we can do that on earth.
We can do that
So
on
the main
earth.
teaching is to do it now.
Exactly.
And take it with you.
That is what she's teaching me. To do it now. Don't wait.
Right. Because the old theology was, die and go to heaven. But what we're teaching is purify now.
Yes, you can experience heaven on earth.
Right here.
Yeah.
And take it with you everywhere you go.
Yes.
Because there's infinite dimensions.
Or you can experience hell on earth.
Oh, there's a lot of hell on earth.
I've been there. For 2 days, I felt like I was in hell in bed.
Turn on the
not
news.
Good.
Turn on the news.
That part.
Peek into Congress. We can see a lot of hell.
Yeah.
But listen, Get Loved Up. I love that title.
Thank you.
That's your yoga online class.
Yes.
But you do it in person as well. How did that emerge?
Get Loved Up emerged because I realized that
First of all, I just got to say something. Get Loved Up is the best title in the world.
Thank you. I appreciate that because some people made me question that title.
When you did that, I said, oh, that's great. I should have got that myself.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. That's great.
I appreciate that. You don't understand how much because so many people are like, get loved up. And to hear that from you, it means a lot. I'm just going to inhale that and hold that.
Yeah.
And the reason it came to me is because that's when I realized that you are loving others to the detriment of yourself. You're loving, and you have this high expectation for people to love you you have this high expectation for people to love you like you love them.
Right.
And that's not the way it works.
Right.
You love to your capacity and not beyond.
Right.
And then you take care of yourself.
Right.
And so
that's how you train people to love you, by how you take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Get Loved Up was a reminder to love myself first and most. And my philosophy is love yourself, love others, and love the world in that order. But it starts with self-love because, I think Lisa Nichols said on stage, you can't pour from an empty cup, and you have to fill your cup and let people sip from your saucer.
Right.
And so the moment that I heard that quote, I was like, okay, I got to fill my cup, because I can let people sip from the saucer. And I have not stopped doing that, but I've learned to do it better. Because at first it was just a check, to do. And my to-do list got exhausting. My self-care list got exhausting. And I'm like, I'm tired because I'm trying to get up and run and I need some more sleep. I'm like, I can't run
I'm counting
today.
my steps.
I'm counting my steps and I'm exhausted. And I realized that it has to be in balance and harmony.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so important because a lot of high performance and high achievers, they're doing all the work. And then they're even doing their self-care like work. And now I've learned it has to be more intentional, more mindful. And the biggest word for me now is more sustainable. If your self-care isn't sustainable, if your work is not sustainable, it's not going to last for long. And it's not going to do you and others as much as it could if you made sure it was in harmony and balance. And that's why I love holistic health.
No, absolutely. You're a prime example of it too. And then you have your podcast.
Yes.
The Lifestyle Design Podcast.
Yes.
What was your mission behind starting that? And I've been on that podcast.
Yes.
We had a great time.
Oh, we had an incredible time. Like that show is still one of our highest viewed shows because I was vulnerable then and it was at a time that Agape was going through a transition. And because it was like my home, it was affecting me very deeply. And I never got a chance to speak to you about it. And then we got a chance to speak on the podcast. So it was really good. And I think not only did it help me heal through a hard transitional time, but it helped a lot of people listening heal as well. Because a lot of times people don't realize that transitioning, whether it's a person or a job or something, a structure that really nurtured you, it comes with its own level of grief.
Right.
And in grieving, you have questions. And luckily in my grief, my mom was there to answer question. And eventually, I think it was like maybe even 1 or 2 years later, in that grief of a great transition of someone who I see as my spiritual father, having those questions answered meant so much. And I don't think I think I told you, but I don't know if I can tell you the depth of just being able to sit with you and talk with you and ask you questions to just hear your response was so nurturing.
Beautiful.
And because of the comments, I know it was nurturing for other people just to hear from you. Because a lot of times we go through hard time, we just want to shove it under the rug, like get past it as soon as possible. But really taking time, you got to go through it. You got to grieve it. You got to talk about it. And that's what I'm trying to do more. I want to be, I've never been this vulnerable in my life. I'm even shocking myself. Even today, I am shocking myself in my vulnerability.
I've watched you. You're doing great. I mean, when you were on the Frequency Factor Masterclass, even before that, even when we were in where were we? South Carolina.
Oh,
With Jessica.
yes. Yeah, that was
And
powerful.
that was powerful. And your body was going through something at the time. And you got up and you did your thing, but you were very transparent. And it was just very beautiful to watch.
Thank you.
You're a great example.
Thank you. You taught me that, and what I did in that moment, because I was traveling a lot and my immune system was breaking down.
Right.
And you taught me, you take your supplements, you drink your teas, and you would do like a little dance. And we were both in the room like dancing and shaking. Yeah. And I said, and I started saying this affirmation, because you always taught us to do affirmation. I said, I am well in every cell. I am well in every cell. I am well in every cell. And do you know, I did not sneeze. I did not but then after I broke down, but during it, I was good.
Yeah. I remember one time I had to speak at this community, at this center, and I had the flu. So this was years ago. I had the flu so bad that I literally, I said, oh man, I don't have time to tell this guy I can't come. And so I was waiting in the lobby, not the lobby, it was a little small room, sleeping. And then I heard my introduction, and the assistant minister was introducing me, saying all these great things about me, and I just pulled myself up and came onto the podium, and the Spirit just took over. Bam!
Yes.
And I just rolled with it. And as soon as I finished, I got back in the car, drove home, and fell out with the man.
Yes! And that's what I feel. It's all Spirit.
Yeah,
it's all God. Because you just surrender. You're like, take me, use me. Right. I am a vessel.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel in life. Yeah. Like, I just want to be a vessel. And I want God to use me for good works. And that's it.
Right.
I want to surrender my ego, surrender my judgments, surrender all of the things that I feel like I need to be, and just surrender.
Yeah, that's right.
To whatever it is.
Right. Surrender is not giving up. It's surrendering to a higher part of yourself. It's surrendering to God, and you're an emanation of God. You're surrendering to the best part of you, emerging in a very powerful way. You're letting go of everything else so that it can come through and be you. Because the presence wants to know itself as your life.
Yes.
Because it already knows everything. But it wants to know itself as you. And it wants to know itself as me.
Yes.
And so we have, that's why I believe there's a destiny within all of us.
I agree.
And we're here to tap into it, say yes to it, surrender to it, and allow it to unfold in a powerful and great way. Now, are you still doing your podcast?
I am. I've slowed down a bit because I've been, marriage and then the transition and everything. And so right now we're on a little hiatus, but it's still alive in me. I love having these deep conversations, and I'm just surrendered, and I'm waiting for the team. I'm looking for the right team in Atlanta and LA, and I'm just waiting for it.
Let me ask you this. You lived in LA. You were with us at Agape.
I know.
And then you moved, which was kind of a mecca, of a lot, we got a vegetarian, vegan restaurants on every corner, yoga studio every corner.
Yes.
So they make fun of us because they say if you turn the nation upside down, all the nuts are going to roll into California.
Oh my gosh. Well,
all the fruits will be here.
Yeah.
But now you moved to Atlanta.
Right.
So what's the difference culturally?
Oh my goodness. First,
for
just a lot of people, and I've never said.
And I lived in Atlanta.
Right.
I went to Morehouse College, and I lived in.
Yes, nice one.
Yeah.
I love Atlanta and I love LA. I think I surrendered, and I didn't know I was surrendering to Atlanta specifically. Again, I just surrendered, and I didn't know if I was going to end up in Atlanta or Florida, or if I was going to stay in LA. I was looking for homes in Nashville, but I knew I needed to transition. And what had happened is that building and building and building during the pandemic and keeping my team of 21 together all through the pandemic. And then my biggest event was the Get Loved Up online virtual retreat, and had so many incredible leaders teaching and speaking. 8,000 opt-ins on Zoom. And I brought my whole yoga teacher training online and using tech to still teach. And I burnt out. I was working from 5 a.m. sometimes to 10 p.m., regularly scheduled 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., stuff on the calendar. But of course, I had to wake up and do my self-care before that. And then after that, so I was just really, and then that's when Clubhouse was around. So I'm 3 a.m. in somebody's chat room, ready to get up and speak and share about, what I was building with the retreat. And then I finished it. It was incredibly successful. People like yourself and Marie Forleo, and I had spiritual leaders, wellness leaders, entrepreneurs, extremely successful. And then afterwards, I sat in my bathtub and I cried.
After everything was over.
After everything was over. Not only was I burnt out, I was alone. And I just turned 40. And I asked myself, like, why am I crying? And I was like, I'm lonely. Because all this success, and I had no one to share it with. I had been through a string of toxic relationships that were very challenging.
A lot of frogs before the prince showed up.
Oh my goodness. And I'd given up. Before that, I was just like, you know what? Whatever. I'm not even worried about it anymore. And in that moment, it was like, no, you want romantic partnership. And just like everything else you've manifested in your life, you have some trauma, some childhood trauma and some trauma that's happened in, experience assault and things like that. You've talked about it, but you haven't dealt with the impact that it's had on the way you view men and relationships. Right. So I dove deep into Queen Afula's work and I did womb healing and I, really dove deep. And that's when I read Homecoming by Dr. Tama. And on my way to Atlanta, I knew that I was going to go through a deep healing phase. What I didn't know is that it was going to take 3 years. Because people ask you, like, how long is this going to take? And I'm like, 6 months? I'll be back? I was surrendered. So guess what? Stuff kept not happening. Things kept not coming through. And I was like, okay. And I was truly doing the work. I was doing the work. I still wanted things to happen, but it just wasn't aligning. And I just surrendered. And I did the healing work. And I was provided for the last 3 years. As God promised, I was provided for. I maintained my lifestyle through everything I learned with online marketing and entrepreneurship and building community. I was able to sustain my community. I did have to let my team go and downsize to about from 21 people to 7, but I just surrendered. And I truly allowed the divine to guide me through the last season. And so now I'm kind of ramping back up. That's why you said with the podcast, I was like, I don't have an answer for you because I'm so surrendered. And I've learned surrender is truly surrender. Yeah. It is truly.
It's not manipulation.
It's not manipulation. It's not just talk. It's like you set the intention and it shows up as it should. And if it doesn't show up, you don't force it. You don't force it. And I think that's the big thing that people might not understand because I know ways of working that I can get where I need to be really fast if I use my mind. But being surrendered, it's not just getting to a certain place or reaching a certain amount of people or making a certain amount of money. It's being in alignment with the divine purpose of my life. And when you're in that space,
it's not achievement based.
It's not, right? And you can't lean into what you know can get you there in your mind. You have to lean into your soul. And when you lean into your soul, you trust divine timing off of happening right now.
So, you are breaking it down so beautifully.
Hey, I study from the best.
You are breaking it down
from the best.
You're not manipulating, begging, beseeching. You're letting go and letting God for real. Not the guy in the sky, but the presence. There's never an absence. And that is a difficult thing for people, particularly for people who are achievement oriented.
Yes.
Because they want to do the 3 steps that get you to success. Yes. But when you surrender, it's more like you're morphing from the caterpillar. Everything just kind of doesn't belong to you, dissolves so that the next stage of you can emerge. And you can't manipulate that.
Nope, you can't.
You have to release yourself to it.
Yes.
Yes.
Every day.
Yeah.
And I realized because in my heart of building community and empowering, I was doing a lot of things as I was building and growing and expanding that was out of alignment with my truth. But I was moving so fast and I was working with so many different people and I had so many team members that sometimes when you grow so much so fast, you lose yourself. So I was losing myself a little bit more every day until I woke up and was like, where am I? And I was just like, how did I get here? I started off just posting online just to keep myself accountable for my yoga practice. Right. And then next thing you know, I got 40 brand deals and I'm speaking on stages around the world. I
remember seeing you. I was in the Grove somewhere and I saw you with the yoga situation.
Yes. Yeah. And it was beautiful. But then I had to check in with my soul. And I said, what is right now your highest desire in life? And I had to be honest with myself. It was companionship. And I was like, so now what? And then Spirit was like, there's work to do. And so my Lifestyle Design podcast is about going through the cycle of healing, building, and then thriving. And the fact that once you get to thrive, it can happen all over again.
Oh yeah, it's a cycle.
It's a cycle. It's cyclical. And so what I realized is that after building up, I was going through a healing phase again, especially when it came to, again, the relationship, my relationship with myself, my trauma, my wounding. And I just went really deep into it and I did the work. And then I went back out there like, you are going to attract someone that's in alignment with you, someone that wants to live the lifestyle. Because in my head, before I did the healing work, I was like, I'm never going to find someone like I'm 5'11", I'm super spiritual, I'm vegan. Like I'm just, the dating pool is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, you know, and I was getting goose eggs when I was going to the online dating. And I was just like, zero matches, no one's matching. No one is over 6'3", spiritual, vegan, you know, no. And they're not on the app if they are, you know? And so I felt very discouraged. But I know that with doing my spiritual work, you just have to have faith. Yeah. And your faith has to outweigh your fears.
Oh, absolutely.
In my first book, Let Your Fears Make You Fierce, that's what that was about. Yeah. Your fierceness and your belief in yourself and your belief in God has to overcome your fears, your lack of confidence, your limiting beliefs. And if it doesn't, you're going to be waiting longer until it does, until you match the frequency of everything that you desire. So I started to feel better. And then I attracted this incredible man, right? Little did I know, I had a lot more trauma that I was going to have to deal with. But because I'd done the work and because I am a student of the practice, and even though I am a teacher and growing community, I will forever be a student.
Forever.
Forever be a student.
Absolutely. I'm a student forever.
Yeah.
So now that you pivoted to this conversation, how did you meet your man?
Well, I met him on a dating app. I can't say which one because, you know, there might be a paid deal later. We'll get into that. I know my role. And so I met him on a dating app, which I was scared to do, by the way, because when you're public, you're nervous. So I definitely kept my social media off. But I was like, I'm having trouble on my own, you know, because of said trauma. And I felt very insecure when it came to dating. And my mom was actually the one that told me, she said, you just let men pick you. It's like this guy, and you're like, oh, I'm dating him. And then this guy, oh, I'm dating the next guy. And guy says you look cute or take you out to dinner. And all the next thing you know, you're in a relationship, you know? She's like, you need to pick your guy. I was like, okay, well, the only way I know how to pick my guy is to, and I also needed practice. I was at a practice of, what do I really want in a man? It's one thing, the physical things, but how do I want to feel when I'm with a person? So I really liked the work. I got really clear on what I want to feel in a relationship, the touch and the connection and the walk with God and all of these things. So I got very clear on, just like I visualized my home and my community and everything else, I got really clear on what I wanted in a divine partner. And so when he showed up, I was like, this feels like it. But then I got scared because of trauma. Right. I hadn't dealt with all the trauma. So I tried to run away. But he was so strong and ready to hold space for me. And that's, I feel like, how you know you've met your divine partner. Not only are you ready for them, they are ready for you. Right. And you will have to do work together. But it's almost like a balancing act of them holding space for you and you holding space for them as you rise together. Right. And so to find that in partnership has been incredible.
Beautiful. So you got your nutrition.
Yes.
You got your yoga. You got your stacking of your practices. You got your relationship. Is there a next?
Yes, there is. Well, the other thing that I realized in this season of my life when I had the kind of breakdown, I had a big community and I knew a lot of people, but I didn't have a depth in relationship. There's no one I could really call in that moment and really explain what I was going through, you know, and I realized that because I was moving so fast and everybody's busy, because sometimes in LA, everybody's got their next thing going on and you just run past people. I was on the phone with these 3 other women, and I'm going to shout them out because I absolutely love and adore them, Nick, Ra, and Natalie. And they were on the phone with me and we were talking about doing this group together on the app, you know, and we were going to do this collective group. And I just broke down crying. And I was like, I just want to have dinner. I just want to have dinner. I need a hug. I just broke all the way down. I was done. I was burnt out.
You want to hang out.
I just want to hang out. So do you know, we started hanging out every Tuesday here in LA. And all 3 women were in Mexico at my destination wedding as my bride angels. And that is a testament to be honest.
Yeah, you said what you needed.
Tell the truth.
I don't want to be starting a whole nother business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to just hang out right now.
Yeah, I just want to hang
Can
out.
we just hang out and be
and
friends?
they held me. They were so, these powerful women just held me. And every time I come to LA, we try to get together. Sometimes all of us get together or just a portion, but we still maintain that connection. And I think I know it was because I was vulnerable in that moment. And not only did I need it, they needed it too, you know? And I think that's the beautiful.
Voiced it.
I voiced it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about being vulnerable is that you remind people what they need as well.
So right now, in taking back your mind, what's your main go-to?
I take back my mind realizing that I am here for a reason and a purpose, and I am here for God. And that whenever I get too far into what the world is telling me, what others think, caring what others think, it takes me out of alignment with my spiritual mission. So I like to surrender my mind and really align with spirit. And I call that divine alignment.
Yes.
And when I feel that divine alignment, to me, that is taking back my mind.
Yeah.
It's taking it away from the news, taking it away from those limiting beliefs, taking it away from the demands other people have. Because if it's not aligned with spirit, I tell some people, you know, well, you should supposed to do this and that. I was like, well, talk to God and God will talk to me.
Right.
Because I'm not feeling in alignment with that right now. And if I'm really supposed to do it like you say I should, well, God's going to tell me. So you talk to God.
I've told that to people as well.
Right?
They'll tell me something and I say, really? Well, I have to hear from God
right.
first.
Because then you know.
I appreciate what you're saying, but this is secondhand.
Yes, this is secondhand information. And I don't feel a spiritual alignment right now. And I think when you really live your life like that, it's sad. Like I still grieve when I lose friends transition or we're friends and then, you know, something happens. And it's still super hurtful, but I'm learning that's just part of life. That's just part of growing and evolving.
Seasons.
There's seasons.
You know, particular seasons, as they say, seasons, reasons are lifetimes.
Yes.
You know, and you have a few that are lifetime friends. You know, a lot of them are seasonal.
Yes.
And you appreciate that season. They've come to heal. They've come to be a mirror to you. They've come to reflect things. But sometimes that season is over. Yeah. And you forgive, keep all the good memories, and then roll with your homies.
That is so true. And I finally learned that I've heard it for a long time, but I feel like embodying that in my life and being okay with it, you know, because sometimes you just ruminate, right? You play back like, oh, how could have that been? What could I have done
wish
better?
I would have, could have. No.
But then you get in this mental loop and you got to take back your mind and say, you are good. All is well. Be peace.
Right.
And let go. Surrender.
Yeah, I teach 3 ways you move through that. One, acceptance. You don't go into wishful thinking. I wish I woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yeah. You have to accept this is the relationship right now. It's not how it used to be. Right. Total acceptance. 2, harvest the good. You just go in and harvest every good and perfect thing that came out of that relationship. Right. And then 3, forgive all the rest.
I love that. Forgiveness.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is the key.
Yeah.
Like I've done, I do this practice called transformational letter writing where I actually say exactly what I really think and feel and just get all of any frustration. And if I feel like I was wronged or misunderstood or I just get it all out. And then I do some breath work. And then the second part of that is apologizing to myself as me, and then apologizing if I feel like I was wrong. I say I apologize to myself for them. Right. And then I let it go.
Yeah, because you know why? They're you.
Right. Spiritually, we're all connected.
We're all connected. Yeah.
And I've had so many times, because I teach that practice now, I have so many times when people say, oh my goodness, right after I did that, someone texted me. And I experienced after one letter, the next day, that person called me and was like, I'm so sorry. And they completely apologize. I've had that happen like verbatim one time, but many times, you know, days or weeks later, the person will reach out or call me.
Absolutely. I was in this meditation experience, and there was this guy that had been trained by he was an older gentleman. He had been trained by Paramahansa Yogananda. We were it was at Bio-Cybernaut. And he didn't want to do his forgiveness work, but he just wanted to meditate. And so the facilitator told him, James Hart, to go in and do forgiveness work. He wouldn't do it. Finally, he did it. Right. And there was some benefit. James was telling us you could see it on his brainwaves. And then the next day, his sister called him. He hadn't spoken to his sister in 20 years, at least 20 years. And she had called the office, and then they'd put him in touch. And James was like, wait a minute, we didn't know you had a sister. When was the last time you talked to her? It's 20 years ago. But the moment he went into his forgiveness, she picked up on it and called. And there was a tearful reunion. So forgiveness is powerful because it creates, it opens up, you start to pay your telepathy bill.
Yes.
So that you can actually be in contact again.
Right.
Yeah.
That is so true. And I just also experienced that. That's another thing that happened with my mom's transition. I hadn't talked to my sister in 2 years. In 2 years. And in holding space with my mom, one of the things that I was doing was energetically praying for forgiveness for me, for her, and just everything in the family and things like that. And you know, my sister walked into the hospital room. She wasn't coming for many days. She walked into the hospital room and we embraced. And when we embraced, I just felt light energy, powerfully like charging both of our bodies. And I just held on to her like for 15 seconds. I have never felt this type of power flowing through me. And from that minute on, we've been connected. We both forgave each other. We talked to each other. But the healing happened in that moment. And you know, because I've told you about it. And I was in tears. She was in tears. And you can't explain it. And I know that was our mom.
It wipes everything. Wipes the slate.
It was because every other thing is just stuff.
It's just stuff, man.
It's just stuff. But we felt that light energy,
ego makes
that
it
God.
important.
And it does.
But the spirit
can wipe all that away.
I'm also glad about the fact that you're going to come on and be a part of the Rhythmia Life Advancement family.
Yes.
You know,
I'm looking forward to that.
That's going to be great because they need to have this energy there.
Thank you.
You have a lot to bring.
I'm excited.
Yeah. They're doing good work there. A lot of good forgiveness work there. It's powerful. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
How can they reach you?
Oh, how can you reach me? Koya Webb on everything, right? KoyaWebb.com, KoyaWebb. On Instagram, Koya Webb. I'm on YouTube as well. I would say like Instagram is my main platform, and then my website, and then I also have a community where we're in this every week. I go into my community and we're charging up together. We're doing forgiveness work together. And I have a community cohort every week on Wednesday, and also have a mastermind community of entrepreneurs. And we're building sustainable, mindful businesses together. And so if you feel like you don't have a community, because you provided such a community for me, and I'm always going to be a part of that community, I realize that people need communities where they feel safe, where they feel loved, where they don't feel judged. And I feel like the more of us create these safe communities, the more we can heal together and move forward and bring that light energy into the world.
It's necessary because people are feeling so separated right now. They're anxious. And it's a call for greater entrepreneurship right now.
Yes.
Not to depend on anything but God through you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how powerful that is. And it's absolutely priceless, but it will get you through everything you could possibly go through in your life.
Any other last words?
I just want to say thank you to everyone listening. Thank you for being here, and thank you for saying yes to you. If I could leave you with anything, just remember who you are. Take your mind back and live powerfully from your soul. That's all. And love yourself, love others, and love the world one day at a time, one breath at a time. That's it. I love you. God bless you. And we are blessed.
We are blessed. This is Koya Webb. Need I say more?
So kind.
We're going to change the world one person at a time, and you're included.
Yes, I like that.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. One day at a time, one breath at a time, one person at a time.
Yeah, there it is.
Hey, and I like the way you dance. Dance, 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 dance. Hey, dance, 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 dance. It's a praise dance, dance. Hey, hey. See why I love him? Y'all see this, right? Thank you.
See this, right?
Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for expanding my life.
Thank you for practicing.
Thank you.
Peace and blessings, everyone.
Yeah, y'all gonna watch me hug him 10 times, so it's just what it is.
Peace and blessings. I truly hope that you are enjoying Take Back Your Mind podcast. The Take Back Your Mind podcast is sponsored primarily by the Agape International Spiritual Center. In other words, everything that you see in terms of the staff that puts this together, the editing, the equipment, all of this is sponsored by our Agape International Spiritual Center. So if you are enjoying the podcast, I'm inviting you to support the sponsor. Support Agape. Simply go to agapelive.com and make a donation. And say in the donation that you are supporting the podcast. It allows us to keep broadcasting. It allows us to keep putting these magnificent moments together with these wonderful people that I get to interview. We keep having the possibility of updating the equipment that's necessary and providing the wonderful content that many of you are writing in and saying, I really love the podcast. Support the podcast. Support the sponsor. Agape International Spiritual Center. agapelive.com. You can also text to donate. You can text the word give to 424-321-6243 and put podcast so that we know that you're really supporting this wonderful podcast. Our secondary sponsor is Adaptozen, Adaptozen. This is my superfood greens. It's nutritionally dense because I teach spirit, mind, and body. We want our body temples to be healthy. So one of the products is my superfood greens. You can go to nutrarise.com. Those three little lines you see, you hit those three little lines and you'll see Adaptozen. There's two products, my superfood greens and a product called Elevate, which are organic mushrooms for your health. You can put both in your smoothies so that you have main ingredients for the health of your body temple. These are our sponsors. Primary sponsor, Agape International Spiritual Center. Secondary sponsor, Adaptozen. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be wise. Circulate and share. Peace and blessings. Peace and radical blessings. And this is our opportunity to get still. Don't just do something, sit there is one of my favorite statements. Because sitting, being aware of our breath, having an intention for our life and an intention for our sitting, it does a world of good for our life. Because the life can be caught up in the topsy-turvy aspect of humanity, the ups and downs of the human experience, but there is something about you that is changeless. There's something about you that is eternal and forever and ageless. And when you come in, have an encounter with it, it begins to be the activity of your awareness. And then you get to walk in this world of changes as a fiat, an ambassador, an emanation of that changeless life, anchoring wisdom, intelligence, creativity, love, and joy on earth as it is in the highest vibration and frequency. We're going to do this for just a moment in meditation. I want you to have your feet firmly placed on the ground, have your back erect without being rigid, close your eyes, and give yourself permission to extract your attention away from the world of what? The world of appearances, the world of effects, the world of circumstances and situations. Remove your attention from that. Instead, embrace an intention to wake up to your glorious nature. The life you had even before your parents were born, even before you took an incarnation, that life that is timeless and ageless and eternal. That is your intention, to wake up. Now, as you embrace this intention, notice that the body's breathing. And you're just witnessing the breath. The breath is allowing you to be present in this moment. And if any thoughts emerge, any emotions, any inner conversations, any reminiscing about the past or a projection into what is called the future, you just look at it without intervening. And you're becoming more and more aware that you are the awareness and not the content passing through. If the attention drifts, come back. Be aware of the breath. Be aware of the feeling tone of your intention to wake up to your glorious nature. And witness everything else that emerges. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations of the body, sounds in the room. They're all passing through your awareness. You are the awareness. Let the stillness speak to you. Quietude have its way with you. The solitude be your inner sanctum of spiritual sobriety. Allow the eternal to be active, that you may carry the eternal into time. You may carry the eternal into time and space. You may carry love and peace into the world. All of this is happening now. We give thanks for this pause that refreshes. And we allow the peace, the love, the joy, the harmony to be so as the activity of our awareness is happening now. And so it is. Amen. Thank you so much for joining in this moment of reflection and dedication to waking up to our glorious nature. Have a most beautiful and magnificent day, afternoon, or evening. Peace and blessings. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for lending us your ear and participating in taking back your mind. If you want to submit a question for the question of the week, please submit it to podcast@michaelbeckwith.com. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, please submit a review and let us know your thoughts. Stay on top of current episodes by subscribing to the podcast so that you'll receive alerts and not miss one single episode. And feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and family. And until we meet again, take back your mind, and you will take back your life. Peace and blessings.